Saffir Cyclone Lola reaches Category 4 status. Well, an extreme period of intensification has led to a big surprise in the South Pacific, where we have a Category 4 on the Saffir Simpson Scale, Cyclone Lola. That's Category 5 on the Australian scale, currently located at 13.9 south, 169.3 degrees east. As of 6 AM Vanuatu time this morning, October 24th, it had winds of 140 miles per hour and a pressure estimate of 942 millibars, 225 kilometers per hour sustained winds with higher gusts. Moving south-southeast at the moment at 6 miles per hour or 10 kilometers per hour. Well, it's expected to curve towards the south and then southwest into the Vanuatu island chain, unfortunately, with a growing wind field, particularly on that southern side, now extending up to 95 nautical miles. It is 149 kilometers from the small island of Mere Lava, 174 from Mota, 189 from Vanuatu, 284 from Luganville, and 439 from Port Vila, the capital of Vanuatu. Well, it's expected to move through that cluster of islands in the central part of Vanuatu, north of Port Vila, and then down towards the southwest, where it will eventually reach New Caledonia, probably still as a tropical cyclone at this stage, especially considering how much it's strengthened. It's going to mean that it will last a little bit longer. So we're most concerned about the damaging winds, expecting to produce dangerous winds of up to 225 kilometers per hour with higher gusts along the eastern islands of Vanuatu. The chances of hurricane-force winds on more islands is now increasing, of course, and all of Vanuatu should be preparing for this possibility, not just because it's got stronger, but also because the track is still not fully certain. Heavy rainfall also likely to cause problems further east. So here's the forecast right now then over the next few days. It moves through those islands, Malekula there, and on towards the southwest towards the northern tip of New Caledonia. Now this is the latest from the model ensembles, which probably hasn't picked up on the storm's strength and will probably mean that those wind fields there were a little bit underrepresented. But certainly it looks like it will dissipate as absorbing into another extratropical cyclone when it dips southwards towards New Zealand. So 140 miles per hour right now, that's supported by NOAA ADT, JTWC at 130 miles per hour, and Fiji at the last update was at around 125 miles per hour, all translated there to 1 minute sustained winds. Some satellite estimates even higher, as a matter of fact, with a decent eye with a temperature well into the positives and a big red ring of minus 70, maybe 80 degrees cloud tops. Well, here's the forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, and they expect the storm to weaken quite quickly, but still a Category 2 by the time it reaches those islands, then down to Category 1, and then through those islands. I think that's a little bit optimistic at this point though, unfortunately, and we could be looking at a stronger landfall. It is getting very close already, and in the last minute it will sweep towards the southwest during the course of this afternoon probably, and then dip down towards New Caledonia and its offshore islands there, and then it becomes part of that big broad system in that extratropical zone. Look at a close-up here of the storm passing through those islands once again. GFS, of course, not really picking up on the storm's intensity right now either. It is stronger than what it's depicting. It's barely Category 2/3 there, but then later on it weakens quite quickly. It still will weaken quickly, but just not as quickly as first thought. Well, you can see the reflectivity there. The banding from the storm will be most prominent on the southern side even as it starts to die off, so its leading edge as it moves through New Caledonia will be the part to watch. Watch again at the early stage though, that big red shield on the southeastern side will really produce extraordinary amounts of rain. The good news is that most of that now looks like it will happen offshore, but it will still produce lots of rain over the islands too. And then later on, as part of this big extratropical cyclone, it will really throw a lot of rain New Zealand's way, and that could be a sprawling extratropical cyclone for them. tomorrow, not tomorrow, but later in the week/the weekend. Look at the rainfall estimates then, and you can see that those pink areas are mostly off those islands, but there's still a few spots that have got higher elevations of rainfall. Areas around Port Vanuatu, for instance, could get up towards 10 inches of rain there. That's 250 millimeters. And some of the other locations, Luganville, not quite so much actually now on that forecast, only getting 2 or 3 inches. And down towards Port Vila, maybe getting 3 inches there as well, 75 millimeters. And on parts of New Caledonia, similar amounts to be seen there as well. But those are probably all underestimates given that this storm has intensified beyond this forecast already. Sea surface temperatures ahead of the storm are still looking okay for a fair while. They'll really start to cool once it goes beyond Vanuatu and towards New Caledonia, where those temperatures are much lower, barely reaching 26 degrees Celsius, in fact not reaching that yet along those southern parts further south in New Caledonia. So those prevailing conditions, whilst they're really good right now, they won't last forever or indeed very long at all. But here it is right now. Cyclone Lola really looks like it's entering its prime, if not already there. Category 4 status on the Saffir Simpson Scale, and that is no mean feat at this time of year. A very early season storm, and possibly one of the strongest to occur such early on in this season. And it's certainly really putting things starting off with a bang. You can take a look at all of this satellite imagery on the Force 13 website, force13.com/satellite. You can clearly see that eye, by the way, getting fairly warm. From what I saw, the minimum temperature in the last 2 hours was +7, so it's going to be getting better than that. And as you look at the cloud tops all around it there, really looking very impressive. Could it blow up a little bit more still? I think it's got a few hours, but it will start to weaken probably later on during the day, but that's also when the conditions will really start to deteriorate across the islands of Vanuatu.